Imagine a man, known by everyone, constantly under surveillance, yet he manages to flee the country. And the interesting part is that this face is recognized by all of us already. The former Nissan executive Carlos Ghosn has been living in Lebanon after he fled Japan in 2019 while in custody over alleged illicit accounting, money laundering, and other corruption charges. Ghosn has claimed the Japanese justice system has been rigged against him. Even his photos are in newspapers, on TV news channels, and if he steps outside, he's instantly recognized. Despite being under 24/7 SecTV surveillance with guards and followers at every turn, Ghosn had to escape. But how does one escape under such strict watch? Ghosn was corrupt, fearing a court sentence that could land him in jail for 15 to 20 years. He knew he had to leave Japan, and for that, he used his brain. He polished an idea, where for months, Ghosn meticulously planned his escape that finally helped him to escape Japan. What the plan? Was he caught? This is the incredible story of Carlos Ghosn's great escape. Let's dive into the story. As you've likely heard of Nissan, a globally renowned motor company, which is known for its quality value. Located in Nishi-ku, Yokohama, Japan headquarters, it is a respected name in the motor world. So in 2001, Carlos Ghosn joined the Nissan team. Carlos Ghosn was born on 9 March 1954 in Portobello. When he was about 2 years old, he became sick after drinking unsanitary water, and his mother moved with him to Rio de Janeiro. He did not fully recover there, and in 1960, when Ghosn was 6 years old, he and his mother and sister moved to Beirut, Lebanon, where his grandmother and 2 other sisters lived. Ghosn held citizenship in Brazil, France, and Lebanon. Later, he graduated as an engineer from the École Polytechnique in 1974. Before Nissan, Ghosn lived in America, working for a tire company. His diverse background and experience brought a unique perspective to Nissan. Upon joining Nissan, Ghosn earned the nickname Cost Killer for his effective cost-cutting strategies. After graduation in 1978, Ghosn spent 18 years at Michelin, Europe's largest tire maker, initially training and working in several plants in France and Germany. His influence helped shape Nissan into the powerhouse it is today. In 1985, when Ghosn was 30 years old, he was appointed Chief Operating Officer of Michelin's South American operations in Rio de Janeiro, reporting directly to Franois Michelin, who tasked Ghosn with turning around the operation, which was unprofitable and struggling under Brazil's hyperinflation. Ghosn formed cross-functional management teams to determine best practices among the French, Brazilian, and other nationalities working in the South American division. After turning around Michelin's South American operations, Ghosn was appointed president and CEO of Michelin North America in 1989 and moved to Greenville, South Carolina, with his family and promoted to CEO of Michelin North America. In 2001, Nissan was struggling, losing shares and cutting costs. Then Renault, a French motor vehicle company, stepped in, acquiring a 43% share in Nissan. With this significant stake, Renault sent Carlos Ghosn to Nissan as CEO. From 2001 to 2017, Ghosn led Nissan, his presence commanding like a king. But on November 19, 2018, everything changed. Returning from abroad, Ghosn landed at Tokyo Airport, only to be arrested by Tokyo police. Thus marked the end of Ghosn's reign at Nissan, a tale of rise and fall. Carlos Ghosn, once the top boss at Nissan, was shocked by his arrest. A whistleblower complaint led to his downfall. Ghosn is accused of hiding his salary and using company funds for personal expenses, which charges a staggering 6.5 billion rupees. Another employee was arrested, and Ghosn was sent to jail. He spent a year there without the luxury of meeting his wife or others. Once a millionaire, Ghosn now lives a stark life in prison, without mobile, laptops, and luxuries. His life is now confined to the jail walls. The conviction rate in Japan is 99.2. Ghosn, despite his wealth and power, is worried. His future hangs in the balance. Conviction rates vary greatly worldwide, where on the other hand, in some countries, the rate was as low as 25. Contrastingly, Japan's strict laws lead to a 90-90 conviction rate. The punishment? Not less than 15 to 20 years. Take careless, for example. Fearing arrest, he knew he'd likely face a long sentence. He formed a new legal team and appealed. In March 2019, Carlos got bail. The costs, a hefty $9 million. The condition? Surrendering all 3 of his passports. Conviction rates and their implications are complex. They can mean freedom for some and a lifetime in jail for others. Carlos was granted bail, but with condition. He had to stay in Tokyo, specifically in his house. No social media and no visitors. His movements were limited. He could walk a bit, but under the watchful eye of a 24-hour SAT-TV camera. Essentially, he was still under a house arrest, even after bail. Carlos was worried. He didn't know when his trial would start. Initially, he thought it wouldn't, but when it did, he feared a sentence of 15, 20 years. Recognizing his predicament, Carlos started thinking of a way to escape. The challenge was everyone knew him. When Carlos was implicated in the Nissan gang, it caused a stir in Japan. Suddenly, Carlos was the villain of the hour, his face plastered on posters, TV, and newspapers. Carlos knew he had to escape to Tokyo. He hatched a plan with some accomplices to reach another city where he could continue his work. But to do so, he had to appear as an ordinary man, not the infamous Carlos. Carlos had to change his demeanor. He practiced walking without fear or tension, so as not to arouse suspicion. He couldn't cover his face, as that would draw more attention. So Carlos had to walk with his face exposed, but slightly altered. He had to change his walk to appear careless. This was Carlos's strategy to blend in and escape. When Carlos was implicated in the Nissan gang, it caused a stir in Japan, all to convince people he was just another face in the crowd. Now, our journey begins in Tokyo, around noon. From there, a train ride to the station, then off to a hotel. By 8 p.m., Carlos reached Shinagawa City with his 2 musician friends, home to a local airport and near Kansai International Airport. Another hotel awaits them. 3 of them check into the hotel, but soon 2 depart. In their hands, 2 large boxes, the kind you'd see at music concerts. These aren't just any boxes. They're for audio systems, video systems, big speakers. They're massive. The duo makes 3 trips to the hotel, but only 2 leave. Their destination, Kansai International Airport, boxes in tow. The journey to Shinagawa continues. Meet the mastermind behind Carlos Ghosn's daring escape. They planned and executed an escape worthy of a spy thriller. Their plan involved a private jet, a Bombardier Global Express, to be precise, booked and ready to whisk Ghosn away. The mastermind Carlos's musician friends Peter and Michael used a music box. Box was massive, so couldn't be checked by X-ray or camera. It was a masterstroke of ingenuity. This wasn't easy. The box was too big, even for the oversized luggage section. It had to be manually checked. Experts marvel at the audacity. It was a daring plan executed flawlessly, said one insider. So, who is this mastermind? Brace yourselves as we reveal the identity of the person responsible for this audacious escape. Stay tuned. Nissan, a global motor vehicle giant, has established numerous partnerships and collaborations worldwide. On the 29th of November 2019, a box was loaded onto a private jet in Japan. It flew overnight, landing in Istanbul, Turkey the next morning. In Istanbul, 2 people disembarked, and the box was transferred to another jet. This second jet then took off, heading towards Lebanon, Beirut. Upon landing in Beirut, the man who emerged from the plane was none other than Carlos Ghosn. Yes, inside the box, the man was Carlos only. This story illustrates one of many collaborations Nissan has fostered, impacting not just the motor vehicle industry, but also a global business. Carlos Ghosn, who once the celebrated head of the Renault-Nissan alliance, now a fugitive in Lebanon. Ghosn's leadership brought a staggering 6.5 billion rupee turnaround for Nissan, earning him global acclaim. Then, shockingly, Ghosn was arrested in Tokyo. Fraud allegations at Nissan surfaced, shaking the world. Locked in his Tokyo residence, Ghosn received frequent visits from Lebanon's ambassador tenant. Then one day, suddenly he vanished from Japan. He, sought by Japan's law enforcement, appeared in Lebanon, leaving everyone stunned. This escape was a huge embarrassment for Japan's security agencies and police. Ghosn held a press conference, leaving people shocked. The news of Nissan's loss, the fraud, Ghosn's arrest and his escape had reached Lebanon, sparking global discussion. Then, on the afternoon of November 19, Ghosn was captured on CTV, leaving his house, where they can see that he was unrecognizable, dressed in jeans. Two individuals were waiting for him. The investigation began. XT footage was seized, and the chase was on. Despite the evidence, Ghosn managed to evade capture. "I was not being treated fairly in Japan," he said. Now, Ghosn is in Lebanon, free and reflecting on his shocking arrest and life in jail. Later, it's discovered he was hiding in one of the Muse boxes. These boxes are taken to the airport, too large for X-ray checks. Hidden equipment ensures their contents remain unknown. After some time, the box is loaded onto a plane. From hotel, the cunning, the planning, the execution, all make convictions difficult. Carlos chose Lebanon strategically, holding passports from France, Brazil, and Lebanon. He knew there was no extradition treaty between Lebanon and Japan. This meant, if accused of a crime, Lebanon had no obligation to hand him over to Japan. Carlos was free. France also chimed in, stating if Carlos wished to return, they wouldn't extradite him to Japan either. His journey wasn't without suspense. Carlos was aided in his escape by two of their musician friends, including 3 Americans. The Turkish government, receiving substantial aid, investigated this case. They suspended and arrested a few of their staff members. Japan, maintaining a good relationship with America, requested Interpol's assistance. They wanted Carlos returned due to a case against him. Interpol approached Lebanon for Carlos's return, but Lebanon flatly refused. So, where did the music box idea come from? That's a secret Carlos revealed later. Who is Carlos, you might ask? Carlos, a shadowy figure, was a key player in the notorious Nissan gang. Carlos's involvement in the gang was deep-rooted. He was in charge of intricate operations, like smuggling goods. One such operation took place during Japan's festive season. In November, December, and January, Japan is abuzz with music concerts. Utilizing this, Carlos orchestrated a plan to smuggle goods disguised as musical equipment from Istanbul to Tokyo. The boxes had to pass through customs, where every detail was scrutinized. Yet, Carlos managed to get them through. Carlos is not just a criminal, but a mastermind who turned the world into his chessboard. The box they have used were meticulously packed, ensuring safety and cleanliness. It's been almost 2 years. Carlos remains elusive, while Nissan grapples with the fallout. In the interview, Ghosn described how he tried to make himself as unrecognizable as possible in order to make his escape. He swapped his suits for casual clothes and left his home in Tokyo, ostensibly for a walk, but actually headed to a bullet train to Osaka, he said. In a hotel in Osaka, a box used for storing musical instruments was waiting for him, ready to be stowed on a private jet with the help of 2 friends posing as musicians, he said. When you get in the box, you don't think about the past. You don't think about the future. You just think about the moment. You're not afraid. You don't have any emotion except the huge concentration on this is your chance. You can't miss it. He also described the agonizing interval between getting into the box and taking off in the plane. The 30 minutes waiting in the box on the plane, waiting for it to take off, was probably the longest wait I've ever experienced in my life. The pair who helped him, Michael and Peter Taylor, now face 3 years in prison for their role in the escape. So, next time you see a big box, remember, it might hold more than meets the eye. Nissan has suffered a financial loss of around $54 crore. They blame Carlos Ghosn for this damage. Nissan stock took a hit, but management reassures shareholders not to panic. They promise a swift recovery. Carlos, already expelled from the company, made a daring escape from Japan in a box.